Welcome to the Penny Z Show, where you get to learn how real people overcame real issues. Get ready to take notes and, most importantly, take action. Here's your host, Penny Z.
Hello, everyone. This is Penny Z with the Penny Z Show, and we have yet another fantastic episode. We are focusing on transforming lives one life at a time with real, relevant, and relatable topics. And today on our show, we have another fantastic guest. I'd like to welcome Deb Beroset. Beroset. Thank you. I should have asked you that first. I apologize. Deb Beroset to the show. Welcome.
Thank you. It's great to be here. Thanks, Penny.
Well, I'd like to introduce you a little bit, Deb, and then if there's anything else you'd like to add after I'm done with the introductions, I would love for you to just jump right in. Great. So our special guest today is going to talk about overcoming I'm not enough through her secrets of reinventing herself. Deb is the founder and CEO of Moxie Creative and Consulting, Inc., a Chicago-based agency focusing on helping people and enterprises consistently create the show that they want and how to show up in the way that they want to in the world. Moxie offers transformational branding, website development, and immersive one-on-one experiences. Called by the creative guru in the Washington Post, Deb is not only a certified neurotransformational coach, and we have a mutual friend, Janet Z. She's also an award-winning international journalist, former head of Hallmark's innovative think tank, and for nearly 12 years was the top public relations executive for Landmark, which we also have in common, a personal development company operating in more than 20 countries. You can find Deb and her country, and she'll talk to you more about how you can reach her at the end of our show through www.itstimeformoxie.com. Welcome, Deb.
Thank you. How cool. Wow. That was
awesome.
Great. Thank you.
Anything else you'd like to add?
What I'd like to add is, and it's related to the theme today, is that, as I'm listening to you list all those things off, it sounds like it's so designed and planned ahead, and it's not, right? I mean, right. When I started out my career, I was going to be a journalist, end of story. I mean, I had no idea that I was going to be putting all these different chapters together the way I have. So I just want to make sure that everybody knows that that great, neat little package doesn't start out that way.
Boy, I'm attest to that. So thank you for mentioning that and reminding that for us. So as our guests and as our listeners we have been in a series, Deb, called Overcoming I'm Not Enough. And whether it's a particular moment in time, a season, or an entire lifetime, we all have something in our life where we have to accomplish or overcome I'm not enough to I'm more than enough, to empower ourselves to transform our lives. Tell us a time that you felt I'm not enough, and how did that affect you?
Oh boy. Well, the time that I'm going to tell you about, because obviously there's for everybody probably going to be more than one of those, but the time that really stands out for me, Penny, was when I was a journalist. So I'm in my 30s. I've gotten a divorce. I've got 2 young girls, 3 and 6. I've been pretty successful in the world of journalism. I'm writing for major women's magazines as a freelance writer. I managed to actually buy a house by myself as a freelance writer, which was a huge accomplishment. In many ways, you could say things were going pretty well, but the not enough came because I was feeling more and more kind of depleted, dissatisfied, burdened, run down, and basically the thing that I wasn't enough was I didn't have certainty, happiness, and fulfillment, and I made myself really wrong for that. Like, what the heck, Deb? You put yourself through a great journalism school, you've worked hard, you're scoring gigs with top publications, it was kind of a situation of like telling myself, what is your problem, right? What's your deal? What do you want? And I didn't know what I wanted. And that was my failure to be enough, is I didn't have any certainty. I didn't have a vision. And I knew I wasn't happy in that spot where I was. And frankly, I felt trapped. And here's how I felt trapped. You know, it's like, all right, I'm a single parent now, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, this does not seem like an ideal time to upset the apple cart. You know, you've been preparing for this career and you're now well into it and it's going well. So why would you mess with that? Plus, you don't know what you do want to do. It did not look like a recipe for let's charge off in another direction, right?
Right.
And it was really dispiriting for me for several months, until I got to the point where I learned that there is such a thing as coaching. I'd been hearing about it. You know, this was back in the mid to late 90s, right? So
Okay.
coaching was not quite the mainstream everywhere phenomenon that it is now.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, boy, you know, I feel like I've made myself almost unemployable because I've been self-employed. Who's going to want to hire me for something else? And I don't even know what that would be anyway, right? So there was a lot of me focusing on not this, you know, I'm not this is a problem, this is a problem. You know, it was, as you can hear, not a really uplifting kind of cycle of thoughts going on there, right?
Right. I call that my mess. When I can't figure out where I'm supposed to go, I'm just kind of in the minutia of the mess.
I was very in the minutia of the mess and I didn't see a way out. And, you know, thanks to some coaching that I got, I started to pay attention, not to figuring it out, but even as I was asked certain questions like, okay, let's not get all hung up on what kind of job you want or anything like that. Let's talk about what kind of an experience you want to have. And that was my beginning of getting into a different path for myself, because I remember very distinctly saying, you know, one experience that I love that I don't have currently as a freelance writer working for myself is the experience of collaborating with other creative people who are at the top of their game, and you got that juice going and that back and forthness that's so fun and delicious and electric, right? And I thought, I really miss sitting here, you know, working out things all by myself all the time. Eventually, out of that, I wound up getting a position at Hallmark with one of the most fun jobs I've ever had. Where I was basically brought in to not just be a writer, which was what I was going for. I thought, oh, I'll be a writer at Hallmark, that'd be fun. They said, no, we actually want you to manage one of our writing studios. And in fact, we would like to bring you in to brand, organize, and revitalize Hallmark's internal think tank with the cream of the crop staff, blah, blah, blah. I mean, it was, Penny, a dream job. And it was exactly that experience that I had articulated that was missing, that my soul wanted, but I didn't know how to get, which was, you know, that experience of collaborating with other creative people on a variety of things over time, where these people are at the top of their game and we're like this great little jazz band working together. It was really quite remarkable. And I'm going to say a real turning point for me, because I've actually reinvented, you know, myself several times professionally and otherwise since then. But it was that time that first gave me a little bit of sense of my muscle with it. And, you know, fast forward to 2016, when I have a position that you mentioned with Landmark, right? I'm the director of public relations. It's a fantastic job. You know, I'm we operated in over 20 countries. I'm doing media stuff. I'm a spokesperson. I'm training other people. I'm dealing with media inquiries, you know, a dream job in many ways and working for a great company. And yet, you know, there's this little, it starts with this little gnawing hunger, this little kind of thing going on, right? And what I acknowledged at some point is, you know, my soul wants something now. And there's no one paying attention to that except me. That's my responsibility.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, I was dealing with some financial issues. I'd been through a personal bankruptcy. I had gone through another divorce. You know, I had a lot of circumstances going on that did not seem to point to resign from your position, right? Did not make sense in a logical world only. But I'm telling you, it was one of the best moves I made, you know, transitioned out, somebody else great took over, and I started my own company, Moxie, as you mentioned earlier. And I'm telling you, the personal growth that I have gone through since I made that scary, admittedly, scary move, like, okay, I'm going out there, I'm going on my own. I didn't even know exactly what Moxie was going to be at that point. And it has evolved over the last 2.5 years. But I'm telling you, it has been such a wonderful journey. And along the way, you know, there's a lot to learn about running a business and this and that. But the biggest things that I've been learning along the way are not those things. It's more how to pay attention to my own intuition, how to tap into my own muse, and really asking that question, what does my soul want? And giving myself room for some answers to bubble up out of that.
Absolutely. Well, Deb, first off, congratulations on getting your business up and running and success over the last 2.5 years. It's not always easy. And I know a lot of people won't go into the entrepreneurial world out of, you know, fear or, you know, just to that being comfortable in the places that they're in. And I also would like to just, there's a couple of things that you mentioned. So I'm going to maybe comment and then ask for your thoughts. First off, your whole topic about reinventing yourselves. I mean, first off, we as humans, I think you're absolutely right on. Through our entire life, personally and professionally, unless we're staying stagnant, we're reinventing ourselves.
That's right.
You know, we're transforming ourselves, we're learning, we're growing, we're interacting, we're collaborating. Entrepreneurs are very much reinventing themselves all the time. If it's not one business that they started and got off the ground and sold it, or maybe it didn't work that well, they're starting another business. So just the whole idea of reinventing yourself is just fascinating. And I want to thank you personally, because I think I'm going through a lot of what you're saying right now in reinventing myself, and would love to have that. I was thinking about this the other day, as a matter of fact. I think as you work and live out of your house and you work alone and you're an entrepreneur alone, you miss that connection. And so trying to figure out that balance where you go back to work, or you're a consultant, or you do other things to be able to bring people back into your world. Because it's very easy to be alone as an entrepreneur, especially if you're, you know, working from your home or working from a small office.
Yeah.
Being able to collaborate. Do you have any advice or any thoughts on that as you've kind of gone through reinventing yourself? Because I love that topic that you mentioned.
Yeah, I do. In fact, I just did a workshop Saturday, a couple days ago.
Excellent.
Yeah, on Get Your Moxie On, right? Mm-hmm. And reinvention was one of the topics. And so I've been thinking a lot about it lately. One of the things about reinvention is I think people tend to think of it as a way to fix a situation that's not working. Mm-hmm. Like, oh, I got this wrong, or I picked the wrong job, or I'm not in the right career for me. What is the right career? And I was in that category too, thinking, oh, well, obviously that wasn't exactly right. So what is right? And I've come to the place where I see it very differently. I see it more as an opportunity for you to come up with a new true expression of who you are. It doesn't make any of the former expressions the wrong ones, but just as how I dress now is different from how I dressed 20 years ago, my interior decor style has evolved over time, and it doesn't make the past ones bad, right? It's like, why on earth would we sentence ourselves to some decision that we made back in our 20s probably about what we're supposed to be doing, and then flagellate ourselves when we're not perfectly happy with that 10, 20, 30 years down the line, right? So there's a contextual shift I think is really important, to give ourselves the room for, this is a normal, wonderful, fabulous part of life, this reinvention phenomenon. So that kind of takes some of the pressure and the heaviness away. So it's like, okay, you know, what am I picking off life's menu next, right? So that's one piece of it. And then I want to come back to that thing about how I define reinvention is it's a new, true expression of who you really are, right? So people say, oh, well, you know, that sounds great, but, you know, if pressed, I wouldn't know what to say about who I really am. So there's a whole aspect of that that isn't something you just, you know, do an online quiz and figure out, right? And some of the things that I work with, you know, I have a service called Soul Spa, where I spend an entire day with a person. And some of what we're doing is allowing some of that fear, anxiety, uncertainty, and so forth to recede to the background so that we can actually listen to what our soul is telling us and hear some of it. So another thing that's really key for reinvention is to know a little bit about how we're wired. Our brains are wired to turn uncertainty into fear. So that made a lot more sense back when we were worried about a mastodon coming around the corner and squishing us, right? We don't have to deal with that now. So now what I say is, look, consider that there are two kinds of uncertainty we might have. There's the uncertainty, you know, I live in Chicago. So if I'm late at night walking down the street and there's a dark alley, I might think, I wonder what's down that dark alley. Maybe I don't want to walk down there. That's an uncertainty about what's down there that's related to my actual physical survival, right? Normally, that's not the kind of uncertainty we're dealing with. Usually it's this next category, which you could think of in terms of a question like, how am I going to look? It can take the form of, am I going to embarrass myself? You know, what if I fail? What if I succeed? You know, what if it's not the right choice? It's that kind of uncertainty. And there's a way to deal with the fear that I suggest to people that they seem to be able to really get. And that is, you know, there's so much about pushing through it, overcoming it, fight the fear, go bust through it, you know, all this kind of stuff. And it's like, how about this? How about if you think of your fear as this little puppy, right? And you say, and you're it's like this little puppy going, ruff, 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 you know, in your head. And then you wouldn't drop kick the puppy out the door. You wouldn't bash the puppy. You'd say, there. It's okay. I'm here. Everything's fine. I've got you. I know you're protecting me in the house. Thank you. Now go lay down and be quiet. Here's a bone, right? What if you were to interact with your uncertainty turning into fear like that? Well, what that does is it integrates the energy. There's what's called below the line energy, which is that hopelessness or fear, uncertainty, and all of that, anger, irritability, when we're feeling off. And there's above the line energy that goes everywhere from courage all the way up to synchronicity, right? So the trick is not to eliminate the bottom under the line energy, but to integrate it. And how you integrate it, one way is by saying, they're there. I've got you. Thanks for raising that question. What if this? What if that? And I want you to go relax, and we're going to move ahead. So it's like everybody's in the same household, everybody's in that same being, and you're not making any of that energy of your being wrong. You're integrating it. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. Yeah. I appreciate you bringing that up. And I was going to ask about neurotransmission and how that relates. And you brought that right into the conversation. So it's perfect. Thank you.
We're on the same page here, Penny.
We are.
So that's awesome.
So, well, Deb, as we get ready to wrap up, I can't believe the time has gone this quickly. It's just been amazing. Two things. First off, I'd like for you to share any last minute words with our listeners on reinventing themselves, or any kind of final words of wisdom that you'd like to share. And then I will have you share about your business, what you offer, and how our listeners can get a hold of you.
Great, great. Okay, so what I would like to offer is, at any given point, whether you're considering reinvention or you're considering what to do in the next hour, reinventing your day, right? You can ask yourself, how could I make this fun right now? How could I make this fun? I don't care if you're at work, you're cleaning the house, you're walking down the street. It's a great question that we aren't normally asking ourselves. How can I make this fun? Another one is, what would feel really good right now? I encourage people to spend a lot of time thinking about and seeking feel good. Because when you feel good, your energy is above the line, and you become an attractive force in the world. Things start happening, you're in the flow, it's coming together. But here's the third question that somebody the other day said after the workshop. I said this to somebody in the restaurant and she teared up. It's a big question, and that is this: what does my soul want? What does my soul want? And just sit with it and just see what comes up. And there's no right answer, but it's a question that I think we should be asking ourselves every day. So that's what I have for your lovely audience. In terms of what Moxie does, Moxie Creative and Consulting. So we're based here in Chicago. I have a creative sanctuary where I'm sitting right now, which was actually the result of asking what my soul wanted last fall. Was a dedicated space for me to be creative and to work with people in creative ways. And here you have it. And so we do branding, and it's actually transformational branding, where we go to your essence and we work from there, so that what you're up to is a new true expression of who you are, whether it's your business, whatever it is, your enterprise. We do websites based on that, and based on the heart and soul guide for your brand that we come up with. And then I do things like I do Mission 2.0, where somebody's looking at, okay, you know, that maybe they're looking at retirement or they're in a career transition. Let's look at what's next. And I also do Soul Spa, which is a delicious day that involves presence, pleasure, you know, some really deep, satisfying, fun, emotional work, where it's all about your soul. And we get really clear about what your soul wants in that day. And we create some plans for your life. Some people extend that, and we do, you know, soul sister support, where I follow up with you once a month, and we kind of tweak the plan. How's it going? What's going to feel good this next month? So that you are actually living a life that feels delicious to you, because that's what turns me on. My calling is that people experience beauty. And so everything I do relates to that. How people can get in touch with me is the website is It's Time for Moxie, MOXIE.com. And if you look on there, you can see services and about and everything else. And really would love to have some of your audience stay in touch with me. You can click on a box and be on my mailing list. And you'll get the Moxie diaries and all kinds of soul and thought-provoking things. And or they can set up a call with me. You know, if you're interested in hearing more about some of what Moxie does, you can set up a call through the website, and I'm happy to chat with anybody about where you are and see if it's a fit or not.
Excellent. Well, Deb, again, thank you so much for your time, for your grace, and for your insight today on the Penny Z Show. We will also have all of Deb's information on all of our social media contacts, our Facebook page, our LinkedIn page, Instagram, as well as you will be able to find her website, contact information on the pennyzshow.com website as well. So we thank you so much again for your time, and for everybody listening. Here again at the Penny Z Show, we look forward to transforming lives one life at a time. Have a great day.
Thank you so much for listening. If you want to hear more, including specific ways to empower yourself, go to thepennyzshow.com.